Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'll talk about this book, a novel by a young Indian writer, a woman. So the book is called Soft Animal, and it's by Meenakshi Reddy Madhavan. She's an Indian writer, and she's been writing for I think 17, 18 years now. Initially, she became popular because of her blog in the late 2000s, and then she has written many books. But I must admit, I have not read any of her books. But I had a vague idea about her because of social media. She's one of those persons who is fairly candid on social media and who does not promote her work much on social media, which appeals to me. A writer who allows the work to speak for itself and not tries to plug it. I like that writer. But anyway, there's a story how I picked up this book. So I was at Midland Bookstore in Aurobindo. It's quite close to my office. So I'm sitting right now in Shahpur Jat in South Delhi, and I have finished work. And typically in the evening when I'm going back, I stop at Midlands and I look at books, and I discover a lot of interesting books. So there is this joy of browsing in a physical bookstore, which is unmatched because you make very happy discoveries. So I had picked up a book at Midland, and as I was kind of about to leave, I happened to see this book. So initially, the title caught my eye, Soft Animal, Meenakshi Reddy Madhavan. I opened the book and I read the blurb. So there are two things about the blurbs that caught my eye. One was one fellow reviewer mentioned that her writing reminds him of Sally Rooney, and I like Sally Rooney's style. I have loved her books. So that was one thing which made me stop. And second was that this is a novel which is set in Delhi during the first lockdown. The thing is that when we read books, we can read classics, we can read books by some great writers from Europe and America, and it's good to do that, right? But sometimes you want to read an interesting work of fiction which is set in your surrounding and which is in the time period that you're living in. So I'm actually on the lookout for books and articles which look back on the lockdown in India, in Delhi specifically, the effect it had on people, if the effect it had on relationships, and how it was to be kind of cloistered in a home with people, your family, supposedly your loved ones, but being in the same close space with people, even if you love them, can cause a lot of strain in the relationship. So these two things, one is that a reviewer comparing her to Sally Rooney, and the fact that it is set in Delhi in March 2020 when the first lockdown started. I read the first page and I thought this seemed interesting, but I was pleasantly surprised when I started reading the book. So now I tell people that if you are in a reading slump, suppose you want to read, and a lot of people tell me they want to read, but somehow they are not able to get back to reading. So this book can actually get you out of a reading slump. How it will do that? It's simply so readable. So if you're a woman, right, and if you're an urban Indian woman in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you would find Meenakshi's voice very relatable. You will relate to her. So this novel is written in first person. So Malika, who is 35-year-old, she is talking about her life. She lives in a rented apartment with her husband. They have been married for about 2 years. Her husband is Mukund. So Malika's background is very similar to Meenakshi's background, though she has put a disclaimer that this book is not autobiographical. But yeah, there are a lot of things which are similar to Meenakshi's own life. So Malika has she's from South, Mukund is from North Delhi. So this book starts by Malika talking about her life. So what she does is that as she talks, you gradually start getting immersed in her life, and as you go along, you discover things about her. So you discover how she met Mukund, how they fell in love, how he proposed, and before that, there are a lot of interesting asides and observations about dating in India, how people in their late 20s, early 30s simply get tired of dating, and they start feeling that every person is probably similar. So it's like, one after another, you are dating people, and then one fine day you get tired and you probably marry the person you meet. So this is how she describes it, and obviously she does it in a more interesting and funny and insightful way. So yeah, so if you're a woman, you will find her voice relatable. And if you're a man, and I think this is very important, if you're a man, you must read this book. Because as a man, even I could kind of totally relate to her observations. So even if you are doing things which you may think are nice and kind and considerate, you are being a perfect husband, perfect boyfriend, you are being a perfect son or perfect brother or a perfect father, right? But the fact remains that if you were to see this, whatever you're doing, your actions, from the perspective of the woman in your life, you'll be startled to know that how unknowingly, that's not your intention, but you end up causing pain, hurt, damage to the woman in your life, all these women in your life, in fact, but mostly it is your immediate, the person in your life, your spouse, somebody who's around you all the time. You cause maximum damage to them sometimes without knowing. Also, the idea about, like, so one interesting thing about the book is that it's a narrative, and you get to discover things about Mukund's family, Malika's friend circles, her life as a single girl in Delhi, her first sexual experience when she was in college, all these things. And you see Mukund from her perspective, and you start disliking Mukund because he is simply a lazy slob. He's sitting on laptop working all the time because everybody was working from home. It was a new thing. And Malika at that time was actually between jobs. She had quit her job. She was looking for a job, and then this lockdown happened. So there are a lot of observations about Delhi society, how Delhi people live, how neighborhoods in South Delhi are. Very witty observations, like you would be laughing out aloud. And she has got one very interesting technique in the book, which I liked. So along with the narrative, there are footnotes. So there is this, if you see this, so there is this chapter, it starts, and then there is this footnote. Now this particular footnote is very interesting. This is about, like, the trouble that a young girl in India, no matter where she is, she could be in Delhi, she could be in Mumbai, she could be even in a smaller city. If a young girl walks into a chemist shop buying a condom, wanting to buy a condom, all hell break loose, right? So she has explained it so nicely, like, like for example, she says that why do in India we have these chemists and these stores where there is an owner and there is a staff, but then there are these male friends who are sitting there, they have nothing else to do. So the moment a girl or a woman walks in and she asks for, say, forget about condoms, she's asking for a sanitary pad, right? Simple thing, or a tampon, but everybody becomes alert, their expression changes, they get startled, they look at the girl, and the fact remains that sometimes this kind of behavior could have consequences. So a girl, for example, may not want to go to a chemist shop to buy a condom. With the result, she might be saddled with unwanted pregnancy. But anyway, let me not digress. So this book is a nice unfolding of that time, and I feel nostalgic about first lockdown. I mean, though it's just been like 4 years, but yeah, I feel nostalgic, and I find this book so relatable. It is so relatable, and you know what? I am now wondering that I finished the book. And every evening I had this, like last 3 days, 4 days, when I was reading the book. For me, Malika was a companion who would tell me interesting story, and I got so used to it. Now I'm wondering what to do. So Meenakshi, please write another book soon. And I love your voice. I think you have done a great job. I love this book. I tell everyone to read it. And yes, so you will discover a lot of things about Delhi. You will discover a lot of things about modern urban living in India, and all done in a very readable, smart, witty way. And also, I am quite impressed by her style of writing, because I'm pretty picky and finicky when it comes to writing. If I'm admiring her style, it is good. It is really good. So yeah, please pick up the book and read the book. You would enjoy it. You could be a woman, you could be a man, you could be a girl in your 20s or 30s. Yeah, please read the book and keep reading, and I'll bring you more reviews. And thank you very much for watching my channel. I'll be posting more reviews and more regularly. So thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.